Okay, everybody, so I should be getting started really shortly. Sorry, I'm doing a couple extra things here, but we should be getting started in just a few moments. Don't worry, it's not your screen. This is just me adding a little something here. One moment, please bear with me. All right. So we should be getting started in just a few moments. I'm just going to quick share this out, and then we will be getting started. I'm really excited to do this. This is my first live stream publicly. I've done a couple of private ones, so hopefully you guys enjoy this. Just bear with me one moment. Okay, so great. I have 3 people on. I'm really excited about this. So, to give you a quick update of what's going on today, I'm going to be going through and creating a going through and using Retro Supply's latest brush pack called Drunk Sailor. Um, if you guys have never checked out Retro Supply, definitely do. They make some great products. You can find a link to the product down in the show notes below. There's also a promo code, and the same promo code that you can see at the bottom of your screen that gets you an extra 20% off of your purchase of Drunk Sailor Brush Pack for Adobe Illustrator. Thanks, Mark. All right. So, also, I would like to say if you guys have any questions whatsoever, whether it's about the brush pack or whether it is about anything else when it comes to drawing or illustrating or anything like that, please feel free to ask. I'm perfectly happy to answer any questions. Won't be looking at the chat so much because I will be illustrating, but I will go back and look through, and if I see any questions that you guys may have, I may go through and answer them. Just finishing up my sharing of the YouTube live link. Please bear with me. I'm also going to be sharing this on Instagram stories. So you guys get to see a little bit of behind the scenes. Hey everybody, so I am now live on YouTube Live right now. I'm going to be going through and reviewing Retro Supply's latest brush pack, Drunk Sailor. Definitely go check it out. There will be a link. Just swipe up and you'll be able to join me live. Thank you guys. Woo! I was able to do that all in one take. I'm actually very proud of myself with that. Now I just have to copy the link here. Let me please. Oh, this is always fun to try and do this stuff live. But you know what? It's fun because you guys get to see that not everybody is perfect. Not every one of us knows exactly what we're doing right then and there. So I guess this is kind of entertaining for you guys. Let's see. I gotta send myself the link. How's everybody doing today? Oh, hey. So I have to ask, is it George or Jorge? Which one do you prefer? Because I do know someone whose name is spelled like that, but I don't know if but sometimes they want it to be George rather than Jorge. So, but thank you for joining. All right, let's get this link. And done. All right, we now have that up on Instagram. Great. Let me ask everybody when you guys come in or when you see someone come in, definitely ask what where you guys came from. Are you guys subscribers to his YouTube channel? Did you see someone else share the link? I would love to hear where you guys are coming from. Okay, so for those of you who are new to who I am, let me just say my name is Rocky Rourke. I'm an illustrating designer based out of San Diego. This is my first YouTube live experience, minus a webinar that I just put on a few days ago. So thank you so much for bearing with me, bearing with any technical difficulties that I may have. But we're going to get started. So the first thing that I want to say is a big thanks to my good friend Dustin Lee of Retro Supply. He has been so gracious to share with me his latest product, Drunk Sailor, stippling brushes, and more, all for Adobe Illustrator. He was also really nice to share with me a promo code. He had some fun with it. Drunk Rocky 20 will get you 20% off your purchase of Drunk Sailor brush pack. So definitely head over and check that out. You can see a link down in the show notes below, as well as the promo code itself. I'm going to keep on referencing this because it was really awesome for him to give me this free promo code. Also, one thing to mention before we begin, I do have out there on my website a newsletter capture where I'm giving away a free copy of my top 5 tips to draw better. This was something I created a little while ago, and it's something that some people have been messaging me about bringing back, so I finally brought it back. There is also a link at the bottom of the show notes to that download. So definitely head out there and check that out. But without further ado, let's get started on this. So I'm going to first frame this by saying I do not know what we're going to create today. I am a little bit nervous about what it is we're going to create, but we're going to get started. If you guys have anything that you want to see created here, please by all means let me know. But we're going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my iPad Pro. Before I share my screen for that, I just have to pull up a blank document. And I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to start by doing some sketches of just like what I could possibly illustrate. Now we're going to take whatever we sketch here into Adobe Illustrator, and we will be illustrating in there. So, but first we're going to do quick little sketches here. I have like a little bit of an idea of what I might try. And if you guys have any thoughts of what you would like to see, please by all means put them in the chat. Okay, so I think the number one thing that I'm thinking about drawing here is I'm thinking about possibly doing some sort of landscape. Now, with the brush pack that Retro Supply has created, you would think that you would probably have like some sort of like tattoos or something like that, some sort of like Sailor Jerry tattoos or something along those lines. I want to actually show you guys that this brush pack can be, you can use this for other things beyond that. I was really excited when Dustin first shared with me this brush pack because I thought that there was a lot of stuff that we could do here beyond just the theme of sailors, tattoos, and drunkenness. So I'm just going to sketch out a couple of things loosely here that I'm going to illustrate completely using this new brush pack. Let's see, I want to do some sort of like a little bit of a landscape type situation. So I'm going to draw a couple of trees here. Just having little bits of fun. I kind of feel like, was it Bob Ross here talking about, oh yes, let's make some happy trees. Yes, that's good. That's good. Let's see. Let's add some mountains in the background here. And this is all spur of the moment. This is just like a quick idea that I'm having as I'm going through and doing this. So if you guys happen to think of something that you might want to see, I'll create that too. This stream's going to probably be on for maybe about half an hour to an hour today. Just depends on how many people show up and also how long it takes me to create some of these things here. But yeah, so I would love it if anybody has any questions. Please don't worry about asking them. You can ask away. I really love it when people get involved in the chat and they ask questions. So right now, to recap, I'm just going through and sketching out a couple of ideas for possible things that we can illustrate using the Drunk Sailor brush pack that Retro Supply created. Oh, Brian, maybe when I'm up in San Francisco in March, I might draw you like one of my French girls. I don't know. I don't know what your girlfriend would think about that. Alright, so like right here I got this tree, and you can see I'm adding like a little bit of shading. I think that's going to be like the basis of where I'm going to use those stippling brushes that is mentioned in this pack. All this is like really loose sketches here. Nothing is meant to be final, so this could easily change as we create everything here. Okay, so I'm liking how this is turning out. I think what we're gonna do is let's go ahead. If no one has any suggestions as to what we could possibly create here, I think I'm just gonna take this into Adobe Illustrator and mess around with it a little. Oh, and before I forget, let me just mention what it is I'm using to draw this. So I'm using my iPad Pro, 12.9 inch, and I am using an Apple Pencil. Now, the software I'm using here is Adobe Photoshop Sketch. This is a mobile app for the iPad Pro. This has replaced my sketchbooks and has been my #1 way of creating sketches for my clients. If you guys have an iPad Pro, definitely go and check out this app. It's free. You don't have to pay for it anything, and you can create great quick sketches and doodles. It's what I use to showcase my webinar I did the other day. So definitely check out Adobe Photoshop Sketch. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to export this directly to Adobe Illustrator, and this will only take a few moments as it loads up there. I'm then going to let me minimize a bunch of stuff on my desktop so I can pull this up. I'm going to then switch gears. Let me pull up Illustrator. Let's see. Okay, so Illustrator has received my file. Let me switch to my webcam so I can talk to you guys while I'm switching to using AstroPad. I use AstroPad to mirror my desktop onto my iPad Pro. This allows me to have the controllability of illustrating on my iPad and not having to have a Cintiq or anything like that. All right, so I'm just calibrating my iPad here so that I can have my have this all set up. So just bear with me for a second. How's everybody doing today? Is everybody doing good? Does anybody have questions? Oh, hey, Dustin. Dustin Lee, everybody, the creator of Retro Supply, and Retro Supply itself is in here as well. That is awesome. We are about ready to get started playing around with this little sketch I had, and we will also be probably creating stuff as we go along beyond just what we have here. Okay, so let me switch back over to the iPad. Now, I'm using AstroPad to mirror my desktop. So I've got here Adobe Illustrator, and I've got our sketch. Our sketch exported perfectly over into Illustrator. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Window, Brushes, and then I'm going to open up. Let me move this over here so you guys can see it better. I'm going to go and look into my library of brushes, and I'm going to pull up the Drunk Sailor brushes. And I want to say it's super easy to upload new brushes to the brush packs or to your Adobe Illustrator. You just have to go into the presets. I will probably do a little video on that in the future. Before we get started, let's just take a look at what we have here to work with. Dustin has done a great job creating all of these amazing brushes. We have these different stippling brushes up here, which act very much. Let me go ahead and grab a couple just so you guys can see. It's going to take a second, I believe. Oh, wait, never mind. Everything's in white. Let's change that. There we go. So let's draw this and see how it looks. Whoops. All right. So that looks pretty cool. That's one of the stippling brushes that Dustin has in here. Let's try another one. Oh, so let me zoom in on, let me focus on this guy here. So what you're seeing is you're seeing me apply the different brushes to this brush stroke here. Let me quick look at the show chat. Hey Shauna, how's it going? Thanks, Retro Supply. Yes, I love the automated cat behind me. I got that in Chinatown, actually. So like we can see here, let's go through all the different stippling brushes that they have here. So we have this one here. I love the fact that it's like a nice variety of different stippling amounts. There's very thick dots. There's very thin dots. There's more ones clumped together, ones that are more looser. This really, I love how this pack acts. And if I'm correct, with some of these brushes, you can apply width profiles. I think it's more with the other ones, but let's go through and just go through all of these different brushes here. I really love this one here. This one really feels good. I think we'll definitely be using it up here in these trees. We also have this one. Oh, these are really awesome. Retro Supply did a great job on these. I'm slightly surprised whenever I see the new brushes that come through, because they always push me to want to create different illustrations and different styles, because normally I don't use these like stippling effects to these, and so these really make me want to use them, and hence the reason why we're doing this video today. So he also has these like dotted brushes here and stars here. In talking to Dustin, he mentioned that these are great for little accent pieces. So let's see. We now can go through and check out all these other brushes. I know this is pretty tedious, but I hope you guys will bear with me. This is a nice little extra short brush here. I love these because they have just a little bit of alterations to them and a little bit of like defects, and those defects are really cool because we can use those perfectly with some of these illustrations. We want them to look more like pen marks versus digitally made, so these are actually really perfect for that. I even love when they're really wonky. Now the cool thing is, let me go back to this one, is these you can add width profiles, which you can find up here. You can apply width profiles to them so that they alter as you go. So depending on what you're trying to do, so for instance, when I'm normally illustrating, I will use this specific brush preset here, and it makes a nice heavy stroke to the left and then a nice thinner stroke off to the right. Oh yes, and Retro Supply mentioned in the chat, yes, these are pressure sensitive as well. So as you hold down, so let me actually show this. So I'm barely pressing down on the pen here. Now I'm like really pressing down on it. It looks like for some reason mine's... Oh, you know what? I know why it's probably not working quite right. I don't think I actually have the pressure sensitivity turned on for Adobe Illustrator. But they do mention that these are pressure sensitive with the iPad Pro, so that's really cool that they have that here. Let's go through and play around a little bit more with some of these width profile, or with some of these brushes, just so you guys can see the variety of them. In fact, I'm gonna up the stroke a little bit so you guys can see it a bit better. So these are really cool how they have these. There's so many of them here. That's a great variety depending on what it is you guys want to use here. All right, so let's go through. Ooh, this one's a really nice one. Good amount of roughen on the edges of this brush. Now let's get down to these like shading, stippling brushes here. Now these ones are really cool. I actually got a chance to work with Dustin on these. He sent them to me just to test out briefly, and I suggested to him that we push this to have it more aligned to the spine here. That way, when you go to draw, let's say I want to draw one right here along the tree, it follows on the edge of my brush rather than the center, so that it easily can be manipulated and brought to the edge, and we don't have to worry about trying to keep moving it along and stretching it to a certain extent. And another thing with these is that you can apply width profiles to these brushes here. So I can really mess with these and alter them depending on my needs or depending on what the illustration calls for. So that's really cool. Yeah, there's a lot of great brushes here. Dustin did an amazing job. Everybody at Retro Supply did an amazing job on these brushes. Let me increase this up. Also, let me know if there are any... Again, let me know if there's any questions in the chat, and also let me know if there's any lag or buffering or anything like that. But I'm just excited for these brushes here. It looks like my Illustrator is lagging a little bit, but that's okay. These type of brushes do tend to produce a little bit of lag. Luckily, these don't seem to be producing as much as I normally experience with other brushes. Okay, so Retrospy says it's for the pattern brushes mostly, so you can get in tight corners. Okay, awesome. So the pressure sensitivity that I mentioned earlier is when you're using the pattern brushes. I imagine that's probably these ones up here. So let's actually try that. I just want to see how it works. So I'm going to lightly press this one, okay? And then I'm going to lightly press and then press harder as I come down. Okay, yeah, see, that's so cool. That's so cool that we're able to control these brushes with the pen sensitivity. That is really cool. That's something you don't normally see with vector brush packs. So the fact that they spent time to really get those things dialed in really says a lot about them. Okay, so let's get started actually inking this thing. All right, so I'm going to go through and let's go with this one. This one is, let's see if it will show what the name of it is. This is short liner number 4 in the Drunk Sailor brush pack. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go through. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to apply my normal width profile here that I normally use. I'm going to start. Alright, so I can already tell that I need to decrease the size of it. That's fine. I normally do that for most brushes. Let's go. We'll go for 0.5. That feels good. Alright, so then I'm going to continue on. Get this inked here. I still remember the first time I used some of Retro Supply brushes, and I instantly fell in love with them. I used to, I never used to actually, I'm not liking how that turned out. Let me redo this bottom part. I used to not like using brushes or anything like that when I used Adobe Illustrator. I usually used only flat shapes and everything to illustrate in here. But now, because I have Retro Supplies brush packs, I can really do a lot more with them. All right, that feels a little bit better. Oops. Sometimes wonky with the iPad Pro, but that's okay. I'm going to decrease this one here because it looks like a little bit too thick, but that's fine. Now let me get this tree trunk in here. Oh, and that's cool. So I'm noticing here that these brushes are also pressure sensitive, because notice I'm applying very little pressure here, and I'm applying much more pressure there. And so that's really cool to see that. So let me undo that, knowing that this is the case. These brushes, because they're pressure sensitive, they're reminding me a lot more of the native brushes in Adobe Illustrator Draw. So that's actually a really cool thing. Alright, so this is turning out pretty cool. The one thing that also remember is, especially when you're just trying something out new for the first time, is it's okay if you make a mistake. I make mistakes when it comes to illustrations all the time, especially when I'm using new products, and that's okay to do. All right, so we got the tree trunk for this one done. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time trying to just make it perfect, because I want to really show you guys what these brushes can do, and I don't want to, have that bogged down by worrying about detail or if I make a mistake or not. So I'm going to try to not make many mistakes. All right, that's awesome. So we have 12 people watching right now. That is freaking amazing. I think that's the most so far. If you guys have YouTube accounts and you guys can add to the chat, please say hello. And remember, if you guys have any questions, please, by all means, ask away. I love hearing any and all questions that you guys have. I think for me, one of my favorite types of drawings that I do that helps me just zone out and kind of relieve stress is actually doing these scene type illustrations. A lot of times they'll just be little doodles that I'll do, and I'll keep adding to them from time to time and everything. But here I wanted to actually go through and create something a little more than that. These brushes are definitely feeling good. I hope you guys are having a great Friday, by the way. I honestly, there's some times where I do forget what day of the week it is. Since I am a freelancer and I work for myself, I tend to work almost every day, rather than just working during the week. So, today, I actually, for some reason, I thought today was Thursday. Until I happened to look at my Apple Watch and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Today is not Thursday, it's Friday. Whew. Another fun thing is that you also don't have cases of the Mondays, because you're doing stuff all the time. You can create for yourself too. You don't have to worry about, a boss, coming to you why are you late today? I don't care if it's Monday. But in reality, you still have clients that sometimes will do that, but I'm lucky to have some pretty pretty amazing clients myself. So let's see, just going through, adding a little bit of detail here, just having fun with it. God, I really feel like Bob Ross right now. Let's make some happy clouds. Oh, doesn't that cloud look happy? Add some detail in here. Break away from the normal flora that we've been creating here. Yeah, this like brush is just so fluid. It just feels really good drawing with it. Yes, that feels so good. I'm gonna tell you guys this right now. There is nothing like a nice, awesome new tool to start like creating with, because it kind of like opens yourself up to do a lot more. Hey Dan, hey Mike, or Michael. I wonder how to pronounce that name actually. I'm guessing it's Michael. Okay, so I feel like this bottom part, I might add a little bit. I'll add a little bit more here. Got a rock here because my name is Rocky. Get some plants in here. Let's add another one of those plants. You know, this makes me wonder now if some of the other retro supply brushes that I have are also pressure sensitive, because that's really a really great feature. Maybe Dustin or Retro Supply can answer that question. And then let's add just a little bit more down here. Okay, so we got that there. We'll add a couple little fawns back here. One of my favorite things is to draw plants, and I actually have a ton of plants in my house now that I've been slowly growing my own forest over the last few months. It's been a lot of fun. You can kind of see back behind me. There we go. You can see just like there's 4 plants right there. You know, you can't see off camera, but there's 2 plants there. There's 3 plants up there. There's another plant in the corner there. So it's pretty interesting. But yeah. Oh yes, hey Astute Graphics. Yeah, I love your guys' plugins. I definitely need to create some videos, or maybe even do some live streams with some of your products. So definitely want to do that. Yes, dynamic sketch would actually be really good. I need to. I recently upgraded my computer and upgraded my software, so I need to actually reinstall those plugins. But I did have them, I think, unless there was a major update that came through. Okay, so now let's get started on this tree here. Now this tree is actually my favorite out of the two, just because it's different than what I normally will do. Awesome, Astute Graphics. That's great to hear. I feel like a celebrity right now. Whew, and we have 15 people watching. That is awesome. That is more than I thought I would see. Yes, please, by all means, if you guys have any friends that you think might want to watch this this live stream or any of my future videos, please share. And please, you know, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, like, comment. You know, I love hearing from all of you guys. You know, it really makes me want to make so many more videos the more I see your guys' love and support for this. This originally was just like a whim to start doing these types of videos, and I feel like they've really been paying off, so thank you guys so much. there was at least one of you in the chat just a moment ago who I believe was part of the webinar that I put on this week. We're still putting it on. It's I have next one-on-one sessions with each person next week that was part of the webinar. So that's going to be a lot of fun there. But I'm really proud about how it turned out, how everybody interacted and everything. It just it really made me happy to see all that. So for you out there who were a part of the webinar, thank you so much. I will definitely reach out to you guys about that. Astute Graphics. So I'd love to hear from anyone out there. What are some of the things that you guys are creating right now? Any types of products or anything like that, or any type of illustrations, design work. Maybe you're working on something at work or something along those lines. Have you guys ever used Retro Supply brushes? If so, what are some of your favorite products of theirs? That'll be really cool to see. I'm sure Retro Supply and Dustin Lee would love to see that and hear about that. I would say my favorite pack by far, besides this one, is probably the Brush Hero pack. I think is what it's called. That is definitely by far my favorite pack of theirs. I've been using it now for quite a long time, and it's always a great thing to use. In fact, for those of you who have seen my Stranger Things illustrations, those illustrations were done using the Retro Supply Vector Brush Hero pack. I think that's what it's called. Maybe Retro Supply can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, we're getting there on this. We're doing really good. I'm loving how these brushes are working. Holy cow, we are up to 19 people in here. I am blown away by how many people are here right now. Thank you guys so much for joining me during this live stream. I guess this is probably going to have to be a regular thing, doing a Friday live stream here. If you guys would love to see that, please let me know. Let me look at the questions real quick before I move forward. Let's see. Awesome, Astute Graphics. Thank you so much for retweeting. Jer Henning, are they for Illustrator only? Yes, these brushes here are for Illustrator only. Retro Supply does have other brushes for Adobe Photoshop, I believe. So you can definitely check those out. So I primarily only use their Illustrator brush packs. I don't really do any illustration in Photoshop. I use Photoshop for regular design stuff, setting up for instance the background that you're seeing here with all the information at the bottom. All that was done in Photoshop, but for the most part I only use Illustrator for my illustrations. And of course, I use Adobe Photoshop Sketch for my my sketching. But I used to use Photoshop for all of my sketches before the wonderful folks at Adobe showed me the light with Photoshop Sketch. Which, on a side note, I'm actually going to be back up in San Francisco in March to be a part of their live streaming event. So I'm really excited about that. I just got the final green light yesterday and have my itinerary all finished up. So I'm really excited to do that. Vector Hero. Thank you, Retro Supply. The brush pack that I love is Vector Hero. Oh yeah, and that's right. I also wrote a tutorial for Retro Supply on using those brushes. So definitely look for that. Jer Henning, gotcha, Affinity Designer user here, but I still enjoy watching you guys work. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I have heard of Affinity Designer. I have to say, though, I am strictly brand loyal to Adobe. When I was a UI UX designer, I actually wouldn't even use Sketch to create websites, because I was too brand loyal to Adobe. Even though, yeah, there were some like problems and everything I would run into. Not a lot of problems, but some problems. I still was always extremely loyal to their software. I've been using their software for about 14, almost 15 years now. So, and I'm a very brand loyal creative. So, let's see. Astute Graphics asks, will I be at Creative South? Yes, I will be at Creative South this year. In fact, I am putting on a workshop on creating characters, the basics of creating characters. So definitely, if you guys have never heard of Creative South, unfortunately, you guys are living in the dark age, because Creative South is probably by far one of my favorite conferences to go to. I go every year. I believe this year will be my 6th or 7th year going. I think I'm pretty sure I hold the record for going to the most Creative Souths out of everybody. So I definitely will be there. I'll be putting on a workshop. I'll also be doing a little bit of live streaming outside of the event. So if you guys stop by, say hello, you guys might end up on the live stream. But yeah, I love going to Creative South. Mike Jones is an awesome guy. He's a really thoughtful person and everything, and everybody else at Creative South is also just amazing. Awesome, Dave. Definitely. If you don't follow me on Twitter, or if you do, send me a direct message, or you can send me a direct message on my Instagram account. I'm usually always on there checking to see when people email or message me. So definitely connect. I would love to hear more about what you guys are doing over there at Astute Graphics. No, thank you, Dan. Thank you for being a part of the webinar. That really it really makes me feel great that you got a lot out of it and that you loved it. Like I said, it was my first webinar, and I feel like it went really, really well. I'm excited to do the next one. Yes, I agree, Retrosupply. Creative South is like a summer camp for creatives. It's also like a big family reunion every single year. It's always fun to see all my friends and everything. Usually I will only see them at Creative South or on social media. So it is so cool to see them. I know Shauna Lynn was in here a little bit ago. She is always at Creative South. I got to meet some amazing people like Dina Rodriguez. Unfortunately, I hear that she's not going to be there, unfortunately. But it's always just such a fun time. And yeah, how about that bridge party too? Whew, that's always fun. Just adding a little bit of detail here. I think I'm going to go past the original thought of an hour, but that's fine as long as you guys want to stick around, watch me, listen to any little funny things that I might say, and watch me do these illustrations here. I will have to say this. I haven't used the textured brushes here for this brush pack, but I am just loving this brush here. This brush, I don't know, this might actually trump the Vector Hero pack for me. I might have to start using this a lot more. Retro Supply, you guys did an amazing job on this. And for those of you who have joined since we started this, let me just quick show This is the new brush pack that I'm using from Retro Supply. Drunk Sailor, stippling, brushes, and more. These things are amazing, as you guys can see right here. There's a link down in the show notes below, and if you guys use the promo code DrunkRocky20, trust me guys, I'm not drunk right now, don't worry. You'll get 20% off of this product, so definitely check that out. But back to the drawing. My little plug right there. Let's see. Let's actually channel our inner Bob Ross and like do some little happy clouds. I'm really channeling my inner like cartoonist, comic book-esque illustrator here, because that's what this is like really feeling like to me. I'm just loving this. This is really different than what I normally do, and it's because these brushes are just really, really amazing. And I'm actually doing this on purpose. If you guys are wondering about, you know, the fact that these things aren't connecting, that's fine, because I don't want them to actually connect fully, because these are clouds. I feel like these right here probably shouldn't connect fully. So this is not like a mess up or anything like that. So out of the people listening, which we're down to 17, that's fine. Does anybody have any questions while I'm going through and doing these like tedious details here? Any questions at all? It could be about the brushes. It could be about illustration. Anything at all. Anything is open. Oh, and by the way, if in case you guys are wondering, I did add a delay to this live stream, so I believe it's delayed about 30 minutes or so, and I did that because I wanted to make sure that there was no live streaming issues, which it seems like everything has been good to go since we started, so that is amazing. Alright, so now we have the basic line work done. I'm just going to show you guys what this looks like without the sketch layer. But I actually kind of like the sketch layer, so I'm going to keep it there. It adds like a little bit of texture to it. I don't know how much I'm actually going to get into this, if I'm going to add color or not, but we'll see it when we get there. I think now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to create a new layer and lock the layer with the strokes. That way I can add in the shading, and if I need to, I can select all the shading separately from the strokes. So let's see, which one do I want to try? So I'm just going to try a couple of these and see which ones feel better. Okay, so a question just came in as I'm doing this from Astute Graphics. What do you find most frustrating about Illustrator? Is there a feature you'd like to see? You know, I'm trying to think, because before, the most troubling issue that I had was probably... Oh, I actually kind of like that one. Was probably the fact that Illustrator would crash a lot for me. But now, because I have a much better computer, I have, before the newest iMac came out, I got the most maxed out, pun intended, version of the iMac. So I pulled out all the stops. I spent quite a bit of money, so I would have a machine that could handle my illustration work, as well as all of the YouTube videos that I wanted to put out and everything. But with Illustrator, you know, I don't know. I've been using it for, like I said, you know, 14, 15 years now, and like I'm still finding things I didn't even know about. So that's always been really cool for me. So I'm just playing around with this. I'm actually going to turn off the sketch layers just so I can see how it's looking. It's looking pretty cool. Just trying to see which one of these stipple brushes I want to use for this. Ooh, you know what? That might be a good one. Let's see. Sarah says, I think you mentioned it in a previous video about having a screen protector that imitated paper on your iPad. What kind did you get? So that is I will say this: you don't have to buy the exact one I have. There's actually, I think, dozens of different screen protectors. Without me having to go into my Amazon account to look, I would say just search for textured screen protectors for the iPad Pro, and you should be able to find what you're looking for. Look at the different reviews and everything. I always suggest whenever someone is looking for something like that, especially because some of the times they can be a little pricey. This one I think was pretty cheap, but it was it came with, I think, actually 2 screen protectors. I've only had to use one, so I don't know why I would need another one, but just like do a search on Amazon. I think you can also find certain YouTubers have also gone through and done lengthy reviews. I guess that's something I should probably do in the future, just to have that for you guys. But for now, I would just say definitely go and check out Amazon. You will definitely find what you're looking for. So this is feeling pretty good, and I actually do like the fact it's coming out beyond the lines, just because it's giving a little bit of a texture on the outside there. All right, Dan says, I hate about Illustrator that they didn't add reflect buttons on the MacBook Pro Touch Bar. Reflect in Illustrator is frustrating. So to what you're saying, Dan, I actually there is something you can do to make reflect easier. You can go, and I'm gonna digress from this, so I apologize for everybody, but you can go into File. I believe it's File. No, Edit. I have to remember because it's been a while since I did. Okay, yeah. So you can go into Edit. You can go to Keyboard Shortcuts, and you can actually create your own shortcuts. So, like, for instance, with Reflect, it's under a menu command. You go to, I believe it is, what is it? I believe it's under Object Transform, and you can actually change and make a shortcut for that. So, for instance, I use Reflect all the time. So I create a shortcut, Command R, and I use Command R to reflect my illustration. So I'm going to just grab this and copy it over here, and I'm pressing Command R, and it automatically brings up reflect, and I can switch, which way I want to reflect. If I want to reflect horizontally, vertically, do I want to reflect it at an angle, or anything like that. So that's like a quick little thing to make it easier, and then you don't have to worry about the touch bar. Honestly, I hate the touch bar on the MacBook Pro. If I ever upgrade my MacBook Pro, I will not be getting that version. Let's see. I'm just taking a second just to go through the comments here. Iaza123. I'm doing some character illustrations at the moment. Do you have any tips on capturing people's likenesses when you draw? Tech Armor is a good screen protector. In fact, I think Tech Armor might be what I use. No, it's not. It's what David mentions, the iCarez anti-glare matte screen protector. That is the one I believe I have. And so with capturing people's likenesses, I'll be honest with you, that is one of the hardest things for me to do. I struggle at that. I struggle with that. Probably one quick little piece of advice for that is that you should probably look for defining characteristics. So, for instance, maybe someone has a big nose, so you work on creating a big nose. Maybe it could be a hairstyle. Maybe it could be, someone's always wearing a hoodie or a hat or something like that. Because a lot of times you do not have to actually have someone who is exactly have like the likeness just perfect. That's what I found. That's what I do. I don't try to create an exact replica of that person. I mean, I have in the past, but it can be extremely frustrating for you as an illustrator. So, like, when you look at the Stranger Things illustrations that I did, you'll notice that, for instance, Dustin, I focus on the hat, the hair, and the smile for him, and the clothes and everything. The clothes is also a big thing because the clothes really helps to show that. So, like, that's my little bit of advice on that. Yaza123. Okay, so I played around with that shading a little bit. Now let me try some of the other these like flat tattoo stipples, as they're called in here. Okay. I just want to make sure that I can get this correct. I'm going to go in here and try. Let's see. What can I do? This might be a retro supply question of the day. I think for this, I'll probably just have to do a little shortcut for myself. So the one thing that I wish this did, and I'm sure there's probably a workaround here that I'm not thinking about. I think that might even be just too much overall. Now, I will say this for those of you who are not liking the fact that some of these things go beyond the borders. What I would suggest is the quickest and easiest way to mess with this, so that they're not, is just to create clipping masks. And everything to just like clean this up a little bit. I'm not going to do that here, just because I want this to go. I want to get as much in here as possible for all of you guys. Awesome, thank you, Astute Graphics. Actually, I believe yes, the Stranger Things stickers are actually for sale on the Slaptastic website. In the Slaptastic store, so you can still actually find those there. I'm gonna take a quick break from doodling, so I'm just gonna switch back the webcam because I need to drink some water because my throat is extremely dry right now. So, what other questions you guys have in pertaining to illustration? Using brushes or any type of other things like that. I'm loving the questions that you guys are asking. You guys are asking some really, really great questions, so thank you for that. Little cat toy right there, just like moving away. Always moving away. Always there working with me. My dog, I don't, you can't really see. You can see a little bit of him right down there. He is currently sleeping. I like the toy there. The toy's like just keeps on working. He's just sleeping. Okay. So for those of you, just to reiterate one more time, I want to do this because in case some people have come in since we got started with this, today I'm using the Retro Supply Drunk Sailor Brush Pack. You can follow the link in the show notes below and use the promo code DrunkRocky20 to get 25% off your purchase of this product. Also, for those of you who are just now joining, I didn't talk about this, but except for at the beginning, if you want to learn how to draw better, I do have this free download that you can get just by signing up for my newsletter. There's a link down at the bottom of the show notes to my website, rockyrourke.com/draw-better, and you can sign up with your email today and get a free copy of my top 5 tips to drawing better. Just wanted to add a little quick plug before I got started back to drawing. Okay, so let's get back to the iPad. So I'm really liking how this is looking. Let me zoom out. here so you guys can see a little bit about how we're using these stippling brushes here. And I also want to iterate, you know, originally, I believe when I was talking to Dustin about this a while back when he first brought up this brush pack, you know, he mentioned, you know, you could create some sort of like tattoo illustrations or anything like that, and I felt like it would be better to show you what you could do beyond what the original intention was. So I wanted to share with you guys this like landscape using these brushes that originally were designed for more of this like tattoo type scheme. Which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, like I have the same type of tattoo schemes on my arms and everything here. So in fact, this is from one of my friends, Nick Slater. He was actually shocked when he saw me with this tattoo. But I wanted to press the limits a bit more, and I wanted to share with you guys more of what you could do. So I think I will actually do a little bit of the clipping mask because I want to really see how this looks. So I'm going to take this one, we'll do this one here, and I'm going to get my brush, and I'm going to go along this edge down here. And what I'm doing is I want to see how this looks for this mountain background. Use these brushes for that to add some good shading. Okay, so I'm going to just click this, and instead of redrawing it, let me just try out the different brushes here to see which one I like better. I'm going to increase the size a bit. And I think this one may be the winner. I kind of like that. Let me look at a couple more just to make sure. Yeah, I think this one's the winner for me for these background here. So I'm going to just use this brush, and I'm going to draw across here. And I'll show you how you can use clipping masks, really quick and easy clipping masks for this. And we're also going to use the blob brush tool to fill in those gaps. Okay, and let's just get this last one here. Yeah, I think, let's see. Astute Graphics asks, are those Josh Emmerich posters behind you? Yes, they are. I actually got those at Creative South last year. I had some other prints in those frames for the longest time, but I was like, I love these movie posters so much. I'm sorry, I have to use these instead. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do here is, because I want to be able to see the line work behind it, I'm just going to change the color of the brush. This is not gonna, I'm not gonna have this color, but I want to be able to see what's going on with these plants here, so I can really clip this better. Also, Astute Graphics, one thing I would, I remember there's some products you guys have that I think would be really cool to possibly use, and I definitely would love to talk to you guys about that. Maybe there might be some stuff that I don't know about that you guys might have that might help me with some of my my illustration work. So I definitely want to talk to you. Dan, before the MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, I had an iMac with Magic Keyboard, and on that I created reflect shortcuts via action set up like this: F5 horizontal reflect, F6 vertical reflect. Thank you for the tip. No problem. I originally had tried doing those things, but I am so used to using shortcuts that it was just so much more easier for me to just create command shift type shortcuts for things like that. But that's me. That's whatever works best for you. Because whatever we do, for ourselves, like, won't work for everybody. So I can just give you guys a little bit of advice on everything when it comes to you know, tools, tips, stuff like that. So hopefully that will help you in the long run, though. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm basically using the pen tool, and I'm using the Apple Pencil to do this. I'm just doing that so I can go around here, and I can create a clipping mask using Command 7, and there we go. So now we have this like clipping mask here, so that we have all the stuff in the background. And what I mentioned I was going to do is I'm going to press and hold on the brush over here, and I'm going to use the blob brush tool, and I'm going to fill in. Let me grab this special brush here, and I'm going to fill in these areas here so that we don't have any white gaps back here. So once I put this back to black, you'll see in a second, this is actually going to look really, really cool. So let me go and change this back to black. Oops. And then let me change this to black. I'll put this down to 1.2 on the stroke. There we go. So that looks really cool. So you can see how I filled in this area here so that the black on the strokes and the black of that really flow together. And so now we have this like nice area back here. Now I could have probably also gone through and just had this set to a black fill, but then I would have excess of this running out all over here. So I'm going to do the same type thing here. Awesome. Thank you, Astute Graphics. Alright, so here I'm going to do the exact same thing. First, actually, yeah. So I'm going to create the... I'm going to use a different color so you guys can see better. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to just trace along here. And these don't have to be precise for what we're trying to do. We're just going through. No one's going to see the actual lines of this clipping mask, so it does not have to be exactly precise. So we're just going to go through. All right, so there we go. We have this clipping masks, and then we're going to select the stroke and that. Command 7. Whoops. Let me make sure I'm going to actually go here. There we go. Okay, so we got that. Now let me go through. Actually, we'll do it this way, just so you guys can see it naturally. Let me go back to using black here. Oh, I see what I did. I messed up. Let me undo that clipping mask. I did not do the clipping mask over the leaves of the plants. My bad, so let's quickly do that. Yeah, it's always fun when you mess up. Especially when you're live to 12 people. Alright, so just going through here, creating this barrier so that we can clip this. And we can have this nice shaded background here. How you guys liking this live stream? Is it entertaining? Is it fun? Should I do voices, magic tricks? Like, what do you guys think? I'm just glad that people are actually in the chat and I'm not talking to myself. I mean, I guess I kind of am talking to myself, but that's okay. I wonder why it does that. There we go. Let's change this back to black. Get the blob brush tool again. This is probably one of my favorite things that I actually, believe it or not, I did not know about the blob brush tool until, I want to say fall of 2016. And when I found out about it, everything changed for me. I will now only use this to add fill to illustrations that I have strokes on like this. And the funniest thing is, this is like an adult coloring book for me, because it's like, oh, I get to take all my stress out just by coloring in my illustrations. And I used to knock people who had adult coloring books. Now I'm like, okay, all my work is adult coloring books now. So just filling these in here. We gotta get this area down here as well. There's something about when you don't focus too much on color and you focus just on the actual lines and shading and everything like that. It's a lot of fun. All right, so now we have the last one here. I'm gonna grab the pen tool once again. We're gonna change the color on it. Right there, nice blue. So what is everybody doing this weekend? Anyone doing anything fun or interesting? I myself am going to be working on a course. I'm taking the daily drawing lessons videos. I'm expanding upon them and creating my first ever course, which is going to focus on drawing faces and bodies. So definitely keep an eye out on that. It hopefully will be coming out in the next... I don't know. It might be coming out in the next week or two. It just depends on how much work I'm able to get done on it this weekend. Well, then I will definitely do more live streams. I think what I might end up doing is I will try to put out a video every Wednesday, and then maybe do one of these live streams every Friday. I can't do it every single week, but I can at least try to do it, or every single day, but I can definitely try and do it at least once a week. Okay, so this is really shaping up really nicely. I hope you guys are liking this. So this is all just using these new brushes from Retro Supply Company. I feel like these have actually turned out way better than I could have expected them to. I was a little bit nervous because I had no idea what I was going to create for you guys today. And I was like, okay, let's just stick with something that I normally do, and that is drawing trees. Or drawing, landscapes and everything. Once again, Drunk Sailor, check them out. I know that anyone who buys a Retro Supply product, I've never found a single person who has actually said to me when I've talked about Retro Supply that they hated a product or they wish they hadn't bought one of their products. They are always highest quality. Dustin Lee does an amazing job. Everybody at Retro Supply does an amazing job making sure that these products work beautifully, and I can promise you that they're only going to keep on coming out with more amazing work. So definitely check out the Drunk Sailor brush pack. You can find a link directly to it in the show notes down below. And don't forget Drunk Rocky 20 for the promo code. Get 20% off this product. Whew. I talk a lot during these streams. I've noticed that. Juggling puppies. Oof. Well, I mean, I do have two dogs, but one is really light, the other one is really heavy. So I don't know if I could actually do that. Alright, so let's add a little bit of shading to this guy over here. This tree is definitely, I feel like, my favorite tree. Sorry, other tree. But this one's my favorite. Okay. So let's switch this back to paintbrush. Make sure, okay. Just gotta go back to the one I was using. forget. I think this was the one I was using. Okay. I figured out what the problem was. So one thing with these brushes is that if you want the stippling to be on the top, or if you want it to be on the top or left side, you'll want to do the stroke up. If you want them to be on the opposite side, also if you go across like this, go from left to right or bottom to top. If you want it to be on the right side, you'll want to go up to down or right to left. Just a little key piece of information for you guys moving forward with these brushes. So I'm going to drop this down to, let's say, half a point, and I'm going to apply these there. Ooh, that's looking so good. That really is looking good. Let's take this and rotate it a little bit and stretch it a little. There we go. I think I'm going to try some of the other brushes. I think that might be a little too dark. So let's try. Oops. Let me make sure I grab this one too. Okay. There we go. I feel like that's better. That feels better. Yes, I know. Like, Dustin does an amazing job with all of his products. He always inspires me to want to create more products myself. Oops, let me redo because I think I messed up there. Oh, and by the way, I'm using AstroPad to mirror this, so I have this little extra thing here. I'm using the subscription, so I'm able to have this little control panel on the left side here when I need it. Okay, so let me draw this here. Yep, that feels good. A little bit there. Just need to rotate this. Awesome. And then let's add a little bit of shading to these guys here. Remembering the direction. I like that. That feels really good. All right, and then let's just grab some of these so we can add that down there. We forgot to do that earlier. Whoops. There we go. That feels a little wonky. Yeah, it does. So I'll remove this one, these ones here. But that does feel pretty good. And now let's just see what we can do down here. Trying the different ones to see which one works best. Let's see. None of them are really jumping out to me for this bottom part, but that's fine. But you know what? Let's add a little bit of something here. You guys will see in a second what I mean. Just like adding that little bit of dimensionality. That feels so good right there. Let's see. Let's grab a different brush here. Just adding a little bit of texture to the clouds now. There we go. That feels so good. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good stopping point here. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. There's more I could do. I could add a little bit more to this bottom area down here, but I think that's fine for now. I just want to thank everybody who came here and who watched this live stream and who interacted, asked questions. It was a blast. We did this for an hour and 20 minutes. Holy crap. I hope you guys had a blast. I hope you guys learned something, enjoyed this. And I really hope you will head over to the link down below in the show notes and purchase the Drunk Sailor pack. I think you guys will really enjoy it. I know that you'll enjoy anything you buy from Retro Supply. I always do. I bought so many of their products, and I feel like this is just like the beginning of so many more amazing products like this, especially with the integration of the pen pressure for the iPad Pro. So definitely go to the show notes, check out that link to the Drunk Sailor pack. Also, don't forget to head over to my website and get your free download of my top 5 tips to draw better. You'll definitely like reading through that PDF. And as always, remember, stay passionate, stay positive, and stay creative, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.